guess what we have for you today? Like, this is a little bit out there, isn't it?
This is very out there.
Very, very, very out there. Well, I guess it's out there because even 12 months ago, we didn't even know this was a thing.
That's right.
And so we really want to share with you something that we experienced this past weekend that some of you may feel a little bit out there and some of you may want to hear all about it. So
we're going to share it anyway.
We're going to share it anyway. So and I think it's really relative because it's all about conditioning your mind in extreme situations.
Yep. 100%.
That's what it's about. So take it away, Sam. Let's go. Let's get stuck in there.
Okay. So today we're going to talk to you and share with you what the Temascal Ceremony is. We were really fortunate just a week ago. We got to, actually today, a week ago.
Yeah,
right now, I think, we were actually experiencing a Temascal ceremony ourselves. And we thought, this is so unique, something you don't really see in New Zealand very often. Like I put up my hand, I only saw it on TV and in the movies.
And I Googled it last year and
yep.
I wanted to go to Invercargill to do it. And I thought, it's a little bit extreme-ish. However, we managed to do it last weekend.
So what is a Temascal ceremony? You're all going, what the hell are they talking about? So a Temascal ceremony is a traditional sweat lodge ceremony.
So you know what that means? It's like a hot house.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Very hot house.
House of heat. That's what they said. It's a house of heat.
Yeah. So if you it comes from I think it's a Nahuatl language or something, basically from the people of Mesoamerica. It's been practiced for centuries by the indigenous people of Mesoamerica, which is basically throughout the continent of America and in South America as well. And
so some of the benefits, I guess, they vary, and we're going to share some of our experiences. Many participants say, or they report feeling physically and emotionally rejuvenated. Did we do much research on this when we started? No. We've done more research putting together this podcast than what we did when we walked in there, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we can feel emotionally rejuvenated, we can feel spiritually rejuvenated, we can feel spiritually connected to ourselves, to our ancestors. The steam and the heat from the ceremony can help you relax your muscles, it can help you ease tension, and it can actually improve your circulation. Like all of these things we had no idea about. We were going from, personally, I was going from a spiritual aspect because I wanted to know what would go on in there. So we're going to share that with you.
Yeah.
So
basically what happens to create the tent, because we got to see them make it. So we did a sort of a kind of a more Mexican style Temascal, because the guy that came out, the Temascalon or something, I'll get to that part. He basically took the ceremony and he made the dome for us. So he brought bamboo sticks and created this big dome, which was probably about 4 meters, 4 meters wide at least, big circle. And then he threw big blankets over and over and over. So you had this dome of...
It's almost like a duvet. Well, and for you in Australia, it's like a doona over top of it.
Just lots of them, piling them up. And apparently he did 3 layers thick. So by the 3 layers stop the heat from getting out and make it really dark, because it's important that it's really dark inside as well. And then you dig a hole inside to make a pit about yay deep and about 1 meter round. And then another pit outside. And then in the pit outside, they put in a whole bunch of volcanic rocks and they make a massive fire. And for about 5 or 6 hours at least, the fire is heating the rocks. And there's a ceremony that goes with it, and there's a lot of stuff that happens to make it all blessed and bring the spirits in and all that sort of stuff before it actually begins.
Yeah. And I guess the ceremony involves you entering a small hole and crawling, like hands and knees crawling, going in, and everyone places themselves either sitting or lying around the pit. So all the rocks come in, they're really hot, they put water on top of the rocks. And we're going to share with you, but we don't want to sort of go too much into the tradition of it and how it's run, because good news is we're going to be bringing it.
Yeah, we're going to be doing one. We're going to bring one to you guys so you can experience it.
So exciting. We're in, we're liaising right now. And yeah, so stay tuned for this. Anyway, so let's move on.
Yeah, so the ritualistic aspect of the ceremony includes prayer, chanting, playing music from traditional instruments, and it helps to calm your mind, and it promotes a sense of inner peace and well-being. There's all sorts of different sounds that they bring for each level. So you go through a series of levels, and yeah, they're all different. And it's about, I guess, I found it a great distraction personally.
It gives you something for your mind to focus on, and lots of people participating in a Temascal ceremony. It can help them connect with their ancestors and their cultural heritage. And after we did our one, we didn't get the opportunity really to sit and have a conversation about it. So I spoke to a few people about it, and I was like, what did you really love about it? And we didn't love anything about it. And I guess for me, what I really loved about it is the challenge, the overcoming the mindset, because you are in extreme heat. And when I talk about extreme heat, I've done yin yoga, and I thought that, hot yoga, and I thought that was extreme heat. Nothing can prepare you for this. Nothing.
No.
And
hotter than sauna.
Like hotter anywhere you've ever been. Like we've been in Dubai, we've been like in Mexico itself, because this is a traditional Mexican ceremony. So we've been in the hottest of temperatures in different countries, but this just is like on a whole other level. So basically, it begins with the participants lining up outside. Well, this is how we did our one. We were lining outside, we're gathering outside the structure, right? The structure is often adorned with symbolic elements such as herbs or flowers, feathers, and it's considered a very sacred space. So the ceremony is usually led by a
Temascalero, that's it.
Whoa,
Temascalero.
And it's really important to know that they are actually trained. So they're a trained facilitator or a shaman, right?
Actually, I spoke to him afterwards and asked how often do people do this kind of a ceremony, and he said, well, it's basically you can do it whenever you want to, but as part of his training, what did he say? They had to do it 4 days, three times a day. 4 days in a row was how they finished off their training for it. And I don't know how I couldn't even fathom doing it once a day for 4 days, let alone 3 times a day.
That's pretty intense.
Amazing. Yeah.
So they sometimes they smudge participants with sage. So we had the sage going all over our bodies. So we're standing there, putting our arms out. So he was going front, back, around the head,
heart,
around the heart, right? And other herbs basically to purify and create a sense of ritual. So participants are then invited to enter the Temascal structure, which is typically small dome shape, and it's enclosed, made of stone or blankets. So we did the blanket one, right? The structure may be heated by hot rocks that have been heated at the outside fire, or by a fire built inside the structure itself. Now, the one that we did, the fire was built outside, and in between each one the rocks were transported. And when you say in between each one, I'll just leave that to your sense. We're not going to go any further than that, because I don't want to ruin the experience of people that are going to join us when we run one of these.
That's right. And then they pour, so when you're in there, these hot lava stones basically are in the pit. You're all sitting there and it feels nice and warm, and then they start pouring water on, and the rocks release steam, and the steam fills up the Temascal. And then you sit there or lie down, whatever position you want to be in, on the ground, or you can often, sometimes they'll have it usually on grass, but they could also have it on a bed of herbs or leaves, depending on the culture, where you are from and where you're having a Temascal. And you're literally just enveloped in steam.
And you're led with prayer, with meditation, or chanting. And for us, I don't remember any chanting. However, there may have been, definitely there was singing, there was instruments, there was instruments. So there was a whole ceremony over. I want to fathom a guess. I didn't actually have, because you remove all your jewelry, all of it, like watches, everything. And we videoed going in, and we didn't video anything else because we wanted to be really part of the experience. And do you remember if there was chanting?
I don't remember chanting. I do remember singing and instruments and sounds.
I think I was chanting, God help me in my head. Anyway. I think that was happening. No, it was a really outstanding. It was an amazing experience. It was a magical, phenomenal experience. Would I do it again? Absolutely in a heartbeat. Absolutely in a heartbeat.
And the purpose of this ritual is to help you to connect with yourself and with your community and with your spiritual beliefs. And the heat and the steam from the Temascal can create a sense of physical and emotional release. Right. So
did you feel that? Did you feel?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with that stuff, though. Like a lot of people around are probably 50-50. Yeah, there were those that were, there were tears. You could, people that were releasing emotions. I don't know, for you, did you release some?
Well, I guess there was a lot for me. The initial, when you're in there, and people can be quite anxious in there or emotional in there, and allowing them to be who they want to be in that moment, but also not rescuing them and just sitting in your own space and not using that as a distraction to just be. And when the anxiety comes up, when the breath comes up, and just, being the master of your mind and being able to slow down the breath and being able to slow down your thinking and focusing with intention, because we all went in with an intention. And my intention was acceptance. So I wanted to go in with the theory or the ability to be able to accept more, I guess, is the easiest way to explain it. So one of the things that came up for me, and I don't mind sharing that with you now, is part of the way through, my heart rate was escalating and my thinking was really erratic, and I was just slowing down my breath and coming into the breath work, which I am quite familiar with. And, heat rises. So every time he was putting water on these rocks, I was be like, dude, like, if it wasn't so dark, I would have hit him. That's how much, like every time you could hear the whoosh, and you're like, what? Are you kidding me? And when your brain zoned into that, because you know that that's going to escalate the heat in there, and you're thinking, Jesus, I'm already at maximum. So I was noticing how my body was responding in a fight-flight response. And what I experienced in that moment was release and acceptance of fear. And that came up for me. And so instead of running from it, which, trust me, I wanted to run. Like I was like, who's beside me? How can I get out of the tent? I sat with it, and I kept sitting with it. And then it got to the stage where it was just unbearable. And my mind, right, was being the great trickster, and it was trying to say to me, Ursh, this is not safe. And it was making up all this rubbish in my head. And I knew that because I do a lot of mind power. And I'm just thinking mind power was damn good for that, wasn't it? Like, whew, well done, it was. So anyway, if you don't follow Robin Banks, you need to follow him, because he's the one that's trained us about mind power. Moving on. So he said to us at one stage, feel free, if it's getting too much, feel free to lie down. And I was like, okay, I'm going to lie down. And so he said, the ground, the earth, just allow the coolness of the earth to cool your body and connect with the frequency of the earth. And I thought, this is beautiful, I can do that. And then I lay down. What I didn't realize is that when I lay down, it got so much worse. Like so much worse. I got more, I was hyperventilating, and when I was hyperventilating, my thoughts got even more erratic. The great trickster and here came along. And so I just thought, this is my time to release fear into the earth. So I just turned on my side, and I just allowed from my heart space to open up to the earth one-on-one. And for some people, this is going to sound a little bit whoa, whoa, whoa. And for other people, you're going to be like, okay, this is cool, right? So I'm just going to share it. This was my experience. It's certainly not everyone's experience. And as I was releasing fear, there was resistance. So the acceptance for me was accepting the release of fear and bringing in love. So there was an exchange between giving my fear away to the earth, to Mother Nature, to the coolness, and bringing in love. So I just visualized releasing fear, bringing in love, releasing fear, bringing in love, releasing fear, bringing in love. And I just kept chanting that to myself the whole time. And I just kept going and going and going. And normally, traditionally, the whole ceremony, you stay in the tent the whole time, right? Ash be like, no. After that, I was like, I've got to get out of here because I'm starting to feel a little bit like, woo, 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 woo. So I went out and this was my experience, by the way, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone else or have any unrealistic expectations for anyone else. I just want to be really authentic and genuine with you. So I crawled out of the tent, and there were a couple of people that had already done previously, and I just lay there and I just felt the remainder of fear leave my body. And beautiful support at the retreat that we were at. And she was just like, Ursh, would you like water? And I'm like, I don't even know who's talking to me right now. I don't even know where I am right now, but I'd love water. And she said, where would you like it? I said, wherever. And she just kept chucking cold water over top of me. And as she was chucking cold water on top of me, all I could feel was the word fear and the emotion of fear just draining from my body and being absorbed into the earth. Now, that in itself for me was worth the experience. Was it pleasant? No, it fucking wasn't. It was not pleasant. So don't be going there thinking it's going to be pleasant.
It's not made to be pleasant. That's not
you're
it's not what it's about.
mastering your mind at a level that I've never experienced. And as I said to you, Bikram yoga, that was a master of the mind. Becoming a qualified yin yoga, that was a master of the mind. Every time I do yoga and hold poses, that's the only thing I can hold it to is like 1,002. And it's becoming one with your mind and not allowing the great trickster to overtake. So being the master of your mind, taking control of that in that moment, and being okay to just experience however you're going to experience. So what I really loved and appreciated from the facilitator and the support from everyone at the retreat was there was no judgment. They encourage you to stay for the whole ritual. And I can see 100% why. What I felt I wanted to do, whether that was my ego saying, Ursh, get out, whether I didn't feel safe or whatever, when I had that water over top of me outside of the tent, that wrapped everything up for me. So that was a really beautiful experience. Would I have changed it and stayed in the tent the whole time if I could? No. So that was my personal experience. And I know so many people have stayed in the tent the whole time, and it's like, yeah, I managed to stay for the whole time. And I thought, a little bit disappointed in myself for that long. And as soon as I was releasing fear into the earth, I was like, no longer am I judging myself. So I not only got through release of fear, acceptance of fear, but also acceptance of I am who I am, and I'll do what works for me. Even though, there's an expectation there and you're highly encouraged to stay throughout the whole ceremony, I did what was best for me in the moment. So I had no regrets about that, and feeling fully accepted in that time was one of my greatest lessons. So that was one part. There was a lot of other parts that happened.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to share that when I was just...
I think like for me, it was more of a, I'm not sure that it was stress, but sitting in the tent, I think when you're sitting in there, I felt more empowered and more in control when I was sitting, and just closing my eyes and just focusing on breathing. And for me, the whole experience was about keeping myself calm and not allowing myself to get stressed, because this is not stressful. This is okay. It's just hot. Everybody's in this. It's safe. Breathe in, breathe out. So actually practicing keeping calm. When I did, sort of lots of people were lying down. And I thought, I need to do this lying down. It must be better. So I did give in at one point and I lay down. And I do regret the lying down, because I think at that point it was a turning point where I'd actually already given in. So my strength went down. I felt like my strength went down
in that moment
because I gave in from sitting and being in control. I had to give in and lie down and find an easier place. And I felt like I'd given in a little bit, and that I felt like I lost a little bit of my strength in what I was doing. So it was really interesting to notice like what comes up. Everybody comes up with something completely different and sees it in a different way. And it allows people to get rid of negative emotions, tension and stress. And some people may experience visions or even insights during the ceremony. Lots of people have had people visit or have seen things, had visions and seen things from the past, or somebody that they care about has come up for them. So there's all sorts of things that can happen, and there's no right or wrong.
And there's no expectation either. Like you go in there with a purpose that you want to, like an outcome, I guess. And, I had also visions and I had insights. I also had 2 visits from my nana who passed when I was a teenager, and having her towards the end of the ceremony with me just gave me that inner strength. And when Sam talks about that strength, it's not that sitting down or lying up. Lying down doesn't make any difference, because this is your experience. It doesn't mean if you're lying down you're weaker.
No.
It doesn't mean if you're sitting up you're strong. It's not like that. And it's just a matter of how do you feel your inner strength is, because I found strength in connecting with the earth at that particular time. But at the end of the ceremony, me and Sam had changed places, which was completely random, and I just felt an inner strength. And then I had my nana with me, and she was just my Samoan warrior, and I just kept in my head Nafa Nui, Nafa Nui, Nafa Nui, and I just had her with me, and she just had her arms wrapped around me. And no matter how much water they put on those rocks in that seated position at that time, I was fierce. I was just like locked in. I was comforted. I was loved. I was accepted. And that was the difference, I guess, is knowing that it is going, this too shall pass, but also being open to experience whatever comes up for you. So that was a little bit of what happened at our
Temascal.
Temascal.
And I think what
ceremony
was really cool is you also, we did it's not always included in the ceremony, but as part of the ceremony that we did, there was a bit of a food ritual. So we
are going to actually do exactly the same, because we undervalued that aspect of it, and the connection with preparing the meal and things before it and then eating it after it was actually, it brought closure, and it brought connection, it brought a sense of calm and clarity, but community.
Yeah, like you've all been through this experience together.
Magnificent.
And if everybody just walked off, and you would lose that. Whereas staying connected and then eating a meal that we'd all prepared prior and sitting together, if everybody was just able to talk about their experience and connect at a deeper level than beforehand.
And of course, different countries may have different food. So there's no set rule. It's not normally done at a ceremony, but obviously
some cultures have brought it in, so it doesn't have to be there.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, is there anything else that
I guess it's basically I guess the Temascal, the Temascal is
who would be interested? Is this for you? That's what we want to know.
So basically it's for people who want some sort of a transformative experience, and the benefits of attending one of these ceremonies are really that those that are looking for a spiritual or emotional healing. So Temascal Ceremony is believed to help purify the mind, the body, and the spirit. And that
was a yes, and a yes for me. What about you?
I think it definitely purified the body.
Oh yeah.
And it definitely did my mind, because you're so focused, like meditation, you focus on one thing. So for me, being in there, my mind, all the other clutter of my mind was completely gone for that period of time, and I was only focused on achieving this one goal of getting to the end.
Yeah. And I guess the other one thing that we experienced is, and we didn't experience it, well, I did actually, because I do feel it was a negative emotion, is people wanting to release negative emotions, and they want to achieve a sense of balance and peace. So for those that are seeking that, I would recommend this if we haven't freaked you out too much, right? And also the physical benefits, like the heat and the steam from the Temascal can have physical benefits, such as improving your circulation. I have to say, and even Sam said to me, "Oh my God, you feel it?
The skin is amazing. Far out.
Like it's amazing. It is amazing what it does to your skin.
And obviously, being in the heat like that, it completely eases your muscle tension.
Yeah,
and it does promote relaxation or / exhaustion, because after that you have no choice but be relaxed, because you've just been through quite a stressful environment. So you could be physically and mentally relatively stressed, different to your normal stress. So I don't want to use the word stress and you think, oh, I'm not into stress. but it's an experience, so you feel quite relaxed afterwards.
And I guess one of the most important things is if you are thinking of doing one, is go in with no expectation. Like and we were sent paperwork and I was just like, I'm not even going to bother reading it. Like, I didn't even know that we got sent paperwork, to be honest. Someone at the retreat said to us, did you read all the paperwork? And I was like, no. And I was trying to ask, what happens here and what happens there and what am I going to wear and what's this? And there was a part of me that just wanted so much certainty so that when I went in there, I didn't have to experience it fully. So knowing that, I just sipped it and I thought, actually, I don't want to ruin this experience. Just like, we've given you the context of it, but we don't actually tell you what happens in there and what goes on. So for those that do want to try it, we would love to know how it goes. Like, if you've done one before, please message us, because the only people that we know that have done this ceremony are the ladies that were at the retreat with us on the weekend. And there were a few of them that have done it before, and we would certainly do it again. I would actually make it a ritual, if not 3 or 4 times a year. So if I was in the vicinity, especially if I was in Mexico, and we love Mexico, so we would definitely go back there and do it, because of that would I think for me that would be at a whole other level, right? And yes, we will be running. We'll definitely be running one in the next couple of months, which will be lined with the full moon ceremony. So it'll be run like a retreat day or maybe a retreat night. And yeah, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to know what you thought. What did you experience? Like, sharing is caring, so put it out there, and yeah, let's just see if this is something that you're interested in. We are only going to be opening this up to maximum 10 people, and we already have 4. We've already got 4 people. So and it will be around Auckland, no longer than an hour 15 out of Auckland. So, and we're probably looking at the next 4 to 6 weeks, so 3 weeks, and then another 4 weeks after that, because we want to coincide it with a full moon. And we've just had the full moon last Tuesday. Yep. So if this is something that you are interested in, and this has piqued your curiosity, then private message us, because we haven't advertised this yet. This has just been a few people that we know that we messaged and said, holy shit, you got to do this. This is crazy cool. And they're like, Ish, I don't care when you're doing it. I'm in, put me in. And we're like, yeah, we got you back. Right. So we haven't advertised this yet, and we haven't finalized anything. So if you want in, you need to message us straight away, because I guarantee you the spots will go.
It's such a unique experience.
It's a wonderful experience.
It's something that doesn't show up all the time. And I honestly believe that when something shows itself, so there's an opportunity that comes, you must take it, because you may never get the opportunity again. Opportunities are everywhere, right? Thank you.
We're going to leave you on that note, right? Opportunity is everywhere. You have to be open to opportunity, because if you're not open to opportunity, you don't grow. If you don't grow, you're brown and rotting. You want to be green and growing. And last weekend, we were certainly green and growing. And it was one of the most extraordinary experiences we have been through together. And the fact that I got a beautiful connection with my grandmother, I got to release fear. I got to connect with other women on the same journey. I got to experience community and connection over food. It's awesome. Outstanding, extraordinary. And we could have said no to that opportunity. So celebrating us, just saying, fuck yeah, baby, and doing it. Not even knowing what it was about and doing it. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do for yourself this week, where you're a little bit scared of, and you're like, no, I don't know. Think about this conversation and say, well, shit, if Ish and Sam can go and sweat it out in a tent and not know what's going to be happening, right? I can do this little thing. And then let us know. All right, everyone, have an amazing week. And don't forget to go and sprinkle some magic on someone, because you don't know who's going to need a little bit of magic this week. Until next week, everyone, have an amazing week. Sending you lots of love and big, massive hugs from us. Bye.